Hi, I'm Beverly Banor Brown, and this is my wonderful canine friend, Sophie. A number of you who have seen some of the other videos where Sophie has been part of them have asked me to have her on, and so this is for you. You know who you are. I also have her on today because our subject on narcissistic relationships and authentic dating involves love tests. Sophie and other dogs, cats, and most animals tend to be so direct, so honest, so knowing what they need, what they want. There is no game playing. There's no passive-aggressive nonsense happening, right? So they let you know what they need, what they want. She's very happy right now. She's content. She's being held. Apparently, so far, she likes this. It's rare for her to sit through an entire YouTube video. And that's okay, because you know what? When she's ready to get down, she will let me know in a very nice and gentle way, and I'll let her down. And there's a trust between us. If I can help her with whatever it is she's asking for, she knows I'll give it to her, and we get along fine. The problem in relationships between human beings, where one is kind of a crazy maker, a drama king, drama queen, or far along on the narcissistic spectrum of behavior, is that there's often not a willingness, an ability, a practice normally of just simply coming out and in a loving way saying, I'd really like you to do this or this or this for me. Would you help me? Could you do me this favor? Love tests. What are love tests anyway? Well, very often in relationships, people have this preconceived notion that if you really love them, you're going to know without them ever saying it, as if you were also an intuitive, as I am, and even I have trouble as a professional intuitive sometimes knowing the needs of other people close to me. I need to be told. It makes my life so easy because then I don't have to be on duty all the time. As a life coach, as a relationship coach, and a love mentor, I've found in working with my clients for so many years that one of the major areas of difficulty tends to be someone deciding what they want from you and not telling you. Deciding that if you really love them, you would do X, Y, and Z. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, I worked with a couple who got along famously a lot of the time. They both had very narcissistic tendencies, and sometimes narcissistic personalities also have certain codependent personalities where they tend to cling, where they tend to be rescuers, where they tend to be fixers, so to speak. And yet, they could not be clear on what the one who was more narcissistic in behavior wanted or expected from the relationship. And this created a lot of problems. Why? Because the more codependent leaning partner was always guessing and wanting to please, which is often part of codependency, and yet had learned, as with most narcissists, you can't ask a lot of questions because they get upset. They think you're questioning their veracity, their authority, and because of the weak sense of self to begin with, this is the last thing they want you to do. And it will often cause them to turn on you and regard you as an opponent rather than an ally and a beloved, and start to be very nasty and critical of you. So part of what this couple had to deal with then was that the more codependent, who was, it turned out to be a woman in this case, partner, had a deep, deep need and a deep desire to please her, in this case her husband. And he had a deep, very deep need and desire for her to please him. And he always was afraid that she didn't really love him because he didn't really love himself. So he projected onto her a non-existent rejection. And in order to comfort himself, as so many people do, he would give her love tests. He'd say, well, I know you're supposed to see your sister and brother next week for your sister's birthday. However, I have this project, and you know what? A good wife would put me first. So if you really love me, there it is, there's the phrase, if you really love me, you'll tell your brother and sister, sorry, buzz off, you're needed at home. This would go on about all sorts of things. And this would be a habit pattern that at first she acquiesced to. She would give up her time with friends, her activities with family. She would often give up pursuing her own interests because she felt that she owed it to him to reassure him that nothing and no one else in this world was more important to her, including herself, than him. I'm sure you can guess what eventually happened with this couple until it got to the point where she was absolutely miserable and where she was at the end of her rope in terms of patience to have love test after love test. Passive-aggressive ploy after passive-aggressive ploy to indicate that it was never going to get better because she'd fallen into, literally, a bottomless pit of his need. So you had two people, one with a great desire to be loving and nurturing and benevolent, have a very deep-seated, genuine love for her husband, and you had a husband who secretly believed that he did not deserve her love, that he didn't deserve her nurturing, yet his constant need for the fix, because it's a kind of addictive thing, required him to keep saying basically, I need you to prove to me yet again that I come first, and that you'll never leave me, because the underlying fear also is one of abandonment. And it went on from there and spiraled eventually into a point where she had no social life, which is part of the love test. If you really love me, you don't need other people.